Good afternoon. This is the internal and external analysis of Kodak. It's presented by Danielle Austin, Edward Leonard, Ariel Parrott, Barry Samuel, and Raymond Kamani. This internal and external analysis of Kodak will cover the industry background, the environment, and internal analysis of Kodak, the key strategic issues, alternatives, and our recommendations.
The Eastman Kodak Company is not only known for photography, but also for images used in a variety of leisure, commercial, entertainment, and scientific applications. Kodak's reach increasingly involves the use of technology, combined images, and information. Kodak ranks as a premier multinational corporation with brand recognized in virtually every country around the world. When focusing on Kodak's presence in photography, particularly the digital camera market, it competes with companies in the photography industry and consumer electronics industry. Throughout the case, when referring to Kodak's main competitors, including Canon, Sony, Nikon, and HP.
Now with the industry market segmentation. The photography industry is broken down into traditional and digital. Traditional film camera makers include Kodak, Nikon, Canon, and Kodak Minolta before it withdrew from the industry in 2006. These companies, with the exception of the latter, all currently offer digital cameras as well. Examples of companies in the consumer electronics industry are HP, which is known for its printers and personal computers, and Sony, who purchased the digital single-lens reflex division of Kodak Minolta in 2006. Within both industries, the main companies Kodak, Canon, Sony, Nixon, and HP segments in digital photography include digital single-lens reflex, full-featured, point-and-shoot, inkjet, compact photo printers, and all-in-one printers. In the digital SLR segment, Canon and Nikon combine to hold 75% market shares, Sony 15%, and the remaining 10% among other companies. More specifically, focusing on cameras, the Camera and Imaging Products Association forecasts the total shipment of digital cameras in 2012 is 117.3 million units, an increase of 1.6% from 2011. Our elements changing in the photography industry. The current digital age has caused a major shift in the industry. It has fundamentally changed who the major players in the industry are by wiping out film. It has taken photo finishing out of the specialty store and brought it into homes. Since the shift from photography being dominated by film to digital, the volume of pictures taken increased. Pictures transitioned from being shared only in person to share them online. This is partly because of forces like social networks, cell phone and mobile device cameras, computational photography, and methods in use of photographs. There is brutal competition from the low-end, low-cost digital camera makers, as well as harsh and fast elimination of any company that implements a PERS strategy. In addition, the stable product life cycle of traditional photography will continue to create a disparity with the digital photography product life cycle. The digital revolution puts the digital photography business on the same life cycle as the other consumer electronics at 5 to 6 months, with the majority of innovation occurring in the middle high-end market. According to BCC research, the digital photography industry has an annual growth rate of 3.8%. Valued at $68.4 billion in 2011, the global market will reach an estimated value of $82.5 billion by 2016. Also, while the photo printing industry is predicted to lose $300 million between 2012 and 2016, digital cameras and lenses will reportedly have an annual growth rate of 5.8%. The ideas just mentioned on the photography industry's future, changes in macro environment, and overall industry unattractiveness are summarized and with implications using the Porter model shown on this screen. Now, positive and negative environmental trends. The photography industry has various environmental conditions that can aid in companies such as Kodak in generating sales. The digital photography industry is a $385 billion industry. Digital photography is also possible with cellular phones, and the ownership of camera phones is growing. This can be output opportunity for the industry. Amateur and weekend shooters have a projected employment growth of 1.7% as more shooters enter the market, meaning that these new photographers will need low-cost, high-end digital equipment. In the upcoming years, growth in the world market will be driven by developing countries. These emerging markets provide market share opportunities. On the other hand, there are also negative environmental trends that would make it hard for a company in this industry to make money. There is a lot of pressure from its existing competitors as well as from new rivals in digital photography. Also, a technological shift away from traditional film and film processing to digital photography means that some companies will have to transform their business model to combat or adapt to the new shift. Not only is technology changing the industry, but also the digital photography industry has become a fast-paced and more crowded industry with very small profit margins. Consumer spending continues to remain volatile and sensitive to unplanned circumstances. The market is facing current challenges such as credit restriction, consumer indecisiveness, and fears of possible collapse of consumer confidence in the event of escalation in the severity of the debt crisis.
So for Kodak's internal analysis, beginning with their business model, Kodak's business model for photography includes their product. They have full-feature cameras, point-and-shoot cameras, single-use traditional film cameras, all-in-one photo printers, and compact photo printers. Their cameras range in price from $95 to $450, and their all-in-one photo printers are from $150 to $299. Consumers are increasingly purchasing digital cameras at electronic chains such as Best Buy, Staples, and Circuit City rather than at smaller specialty photography shops. The company was founded on the advertising slogan, "You press the button, we do the rest." This slogan's goal was to highlight Kodak's goal to make photography as convenient as the pencil. Two of the market segments Kodak views its current customers are in include the middle to middle upper class mothers of small children and young, tech-savvy, and socially connected consumers. The primary distinctive competence that drives value creation at Kodak is efficiency. Kodak's operating, selling, general, and administrative expenses as a percentage of net sales is the second lowest at 19.2% relative to its competitors, even while being on the brink of filing for bankruptcy. Kodak is competent at producing outputs from its level of inputs better than most of its competition. Kodak has a low-cost competitive positioning. This is because its goal is to increase efficiency and lower its cost relative to industry competitors. It focuses on customer responsiveness in regards to price sensitivity and value for the dollar, and its prices for digital cameras are below the industry average. In addition, as mentioned before, its efficiency competence aids in its low-cost positioning. Focusing on the graph on the left, you can see that Kodak is losing value. From its peak ROIC in 2003, Kodak's ROIC continued to be in the negatives. This poor performance is due to Kodak not having the assets and employees that were relevant in the world of digital photography. The graph on the right shows that when using Kodak and its competitors' ROIC 5-year average, it is evident that Kodak is doing the worst at adding value. It has the lowest value added at negative 54.7%. Note that there is no value-added calculation for Nikon because it is not traded on the NYSE, AMEX, or NSD. Kodak currently does not have a competitive advantage because due to its most current value-added calculation, which is the lowest among its competitors.
The key strategic issue Kodak faces going into the next 3 to 5 years is speeding up its reaction to environmental changes because Kodak did not introduce a digital camera to consumers until 2001. It was already steps behind competition during the technological shift from traditional film and film processing to digital photography. Kodak had developed an extensive intellectual property portfolio but did not commercialize it. It held 1,000 plus digital imaging patents and employed the engineer who invented the first digital camera, which was patented in 1978. But Kodak did not introduce a digital camera until 2001. Kodak realized the hard and unprofitable way that strong brand image does not solely combat environmental forces, and that its decision to wait and see what happens was a costly one. This SWOT matrix summarizes the result and conclusions of this analysis. The first alternative is for Kodak to target the amateur turned semi-pro photographer, since they have a projected employment growth of 1.7% annually. Also, Kodak has strong brand loyalty, low price point, and is known for its easy-to-use cameras. Its gains associated with this alternative are market share using existing products, additional revenue from brand loyalists, new target market is aligned with Kodak's core competence of efficiency, and future growth potential through new target market. The losses associated with this alternative are spending additional money to specifically target this new consumer group and risk of employment growth not being consistent. The second alternative is for Kodak to create high-end Kodak branded camera attachments for smartphones for the technologically savvy young adult that will allow the user to take high-end professional photos, since Kodak can use its specialized knowledge of material science and digital image science. The gains associated with this approach are new customers, additional revenue, one of the first companies to market, future growth because of the growing use of cell phone as sole photographic devices, and giving Kodak a new brand image by rebranding/repositioning themselves. The losses associated with this alternative are core competence, now focus on innovation instead of efficiency, high implementation costs, future growth may be halted by new products simply being viewed as a fad, reluctant consumers since Kodak is not usually thought of as a premium brand, and time to market is lengthy. The recommended alternative is alternative number 2, which is to create high-end Kodak branded camera attachments for smartphones. This is suggested because it would be a drastic move for Kodak and the industry. It would also allow consumers to see that Kodak is fighting for survival by releasing a technology/component that has not been introduced by many of its competitors.